Welcome to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast, a free resource for moms raising young autistic children. I am your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created Thriving Moms of Autistics after years of experience working with families and having my own autistic child. I coach moms of young autistics one-on-one to tap into their strengths, create a supportive community, set firm boundaries, and raise their autistic child with confidence. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to it. Welcome back to another episode of the Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast with Dr. Christina Wilson. Have you ever had a close call or been in an accident where you felt just that lightning bolt of that fight or flight go right through you? Your heart was beating a mile a minute, and it just felt disbelief. Did that just really happen? Well, when my son was about 4, he loved running up and down the hallway at church. And he would run like the wind, giggling. In fact, I used to say that he probably would be an Olympic runner someday. He was incredibly fast. So one day he was running fast, just as fast as he could down the hallway, and church had just let out. But this day was different because he made this unexpected turn when the door opened and people were exiting out that door. And my heart just skipped a beat as my husband and I bolted after him through the herd of people that were exiting to the parking lot that had this very busy street on the other side of the parking lot. And I thought it was kind of odd, actually, that no one stopped this tiny little human who flew past them while we were making our way through the crowd and yelling his name in utter horror. I mean, it was that terrifying yell, like we obviously needed help. And you could just tell something was wrong. So I was scheduled for ankle surgery about that time, and so it slowed me down considerably. And everything was, I was in pain. Everything felt like it was just moving in slow motion. Have you ever seen something happening right in front of you that you had little to no power to stop, and you just imagine the worst that could happen on repeat in your brain? And just when I thought the worst in my head, in my mind, as my son was approaching the busy road, a man in the parking lot stopped his car. He got out and grabbed my son. Had he not been there, this would be a very different ending to the story. And I thank God for that man every day. So, in this episode, we explore ways to effectively manage anxiety and worry and achieve peace on our autism journey. So find the full transcript for this episode on your favorite podcast app and share the podcast with other moms to help them grow in their journey too. And you could definitely, leave a review on Apple Podcasts because that furthers the reach. And, we want other moms out there that are feeling like it's just them. We want to invite them in as well. So moms of autistics experience ongoing stress. It just feels like it's never ending. And anxiety and worry are common for us. And we experience so many challenges. So it makes sense. And many of those are life or death consequences or severe consequences at best. So it makes sense that we have high levels of anxiety. And these ongoing experiences are hard on our mind and our body. Our stress level, it's out of this world. And, that's probably not going to change much. How we respond to that and what we do with it is very important for our longevity. Now, that is really important. Longevity is key for moms of autistics. And we want to live as long as we can, right, for our children. And one of the greatest fears that a mom has is what will happen to my child when I'm gone. So, when I started out as a therapist 3 decades ago, we didn't have the research that we have now on stress and how it truly impacts us physically. And that we thought that panic attacks were just, they felt like a heart attack sometimes, but they didn't have the super long lasting effects like a heart attack does. And now we know much more because we have so much more research. And chronic worrying can impact your sleep, lifestyle habits, appetite, and so much more. And it can even lead to addiction and overeating. And also, chronic worrying impacts your mindset and invades your thoughts. Now, I explore this further in my Thrive course, where I help moms break down the origins of their stinking thinking, I call it, and how it impacts them and what to do about it. It's very in depth, because this is critical for well being. And I feel this on a very deep level because I've been there. And it's just so important. I've overcome this myself. And I'm devoted to helping moms achieve higher well being. Why? Because they deserve it. You deserve it, and so do your children. And when moms are doing well, it overflows onto their children and has positive impact on them. Yes. This is what it's all about, right? So, how do moms of autistics turn their anxiety into peace? Well, when we experience stress and panic, we experience that fight or flight response that I was referring to earlier. And that means a surge of adrenaline. And it also means, that mama bear kicks in too, oftentimes. You know what I'm talking about. So, did you know that the sympathetic nervous system kicks in when we experience that fight or flight response? And that means that there's an increase in cortisol. And you probably hear that in commercials all the time talking about cortisol. It can be an ugly thing. I mean, we do have cortisol in our body, but when it gets increased and out of hand, it's not good. And I had a tumor on my adrenal gland in my 20s, that increased my cortisol levels years before I had my son. It's no joke. It was awful. And it's just not good. So when it gets like that, it can increase your triglycerides, your sugar, resulting in a rapid heartbeat, headaches, poor concentration, sweating, and so much more. And ultimately, it impacts your immune system and your memory and your heart. So this is what I'm talking about. So how do you use this to fuel peace in your life? Well, you must catch it, okay? You got to catch it when it starts to build up. And that means that you're mindful of your body and your thoughts and everything that's going on. Okay. So being mindful is critical to catch it. And then you can wrangle it and so that it does not impede you further. And this is the transitional phase where you can change gears. And once you've identified when it is happening, you could turn it around because you have that power. Okay. So, one thing is to consider counteracting by drinking more water rather than caffeine. I think a lot of people drink tons of caffeine and that can accelerate it, and it's not helpful. I know it doesn't sound great, does it? But it is true. And I've done it too, so I get it. Another is that you can get your body back to homeostasis. And I talked about this before by breathing in the moment. And you're probably thinking, what? I breathe. I'm breathing now. You know, I don't understand. So an example, and I know a lot of people are like this too, but I hold my breath when I'm mad or, when I'm upset. And sometimes, you breathe more rapidly when you're panicked, right? Or when you're running after your son. Um, but your oxygen levels change. And so does your thinking as a result, and what's going on in your body. And you need that oxygen going to your brain. Uh, So using a breathing method like a 4 in, hold for 4, out for 4, that works for some people. And that I really like. And this, oh, I can do it now. I can do it all day. It is so soothing to me. It's really helpful for me. And I feel so good, probably because, I'm getting the oxygen that I need. But I like to breathe in deeply for 5 and then hold it for 2 and then out for 1 extra, out for 6. And, that when you repeat that, it's calming and then it brings your body back to homeostasis. Now, also, when all of this is going on, it results in negative thinking and the stinking thinking, and that's not good. Okay. So you can flip that script and consider the opposite, which is more positive, right? So when you start using these cognitive distortions, such as if only I had done this, or they say I'm a bad parent all the time. I must be a bad parent. Or this is too hard. I can't. Those things. Instead, you can recognize what you're doing, that you are doing your best, and that you're trying, and that you will do it. You will get where you want to be. Yeah, I dive deeply into the Thread course. Um, be, it's just really important stuff. And walk you through all of that. Another is, when you feel isolated, and we have all been there. And some of you are there right now. Um, that's very common for moms of autistic. You do not have the support you need. You just don't. And gaining a supportive community helps you gain momentum when everything is piled up on you, right? So this is why I started the Autism Thrive Tribe, the free community for moms of autistics. Mm, So you can have people around you that get it, that, have had some of the same experiences and same emotions, and you can learn from each other. That is so powerful. And if you're not on it yet, you can go to thrivingmomsofautistics.com and find the Autism Thrive Tribe. It's a free community for moms. And this is a great way. to find people who are on a similar journey. Now, and currently, and I'm really excited, I'm working on a community for mom that is next level and includes even more resources because I offer resources and different things there, but even more resources to support moms that include monthly life support with me, um, ongoing community, and the Thrive course as well. So we'll still have the Autism Thrive Tribe, the free community, but then we'll have this one that just includes so much. So be on the lookout for that, okay? On thrivingmomsofautistics.com. And I am always looking for ways to support moms and serve them while they're on their autism journey because I get it. And I want to help other moms as much as I can. So I hope this helps. And let's meet up again next week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other moms of autistics about the podcast. Let's support each other. Find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com. And be assured, you are not alone in your journey.